Hey yo,
Hi, how are you?
I'm fantastic. How you doing?
Oh, how's your day been?
No, it's been good. It's been good. Hey, I was conflicted, bro. When it was now when you said it was Zoom, I was thinking, yo, should I get fresh? Should I pull some chains? Should I put that whole rapper look on? But nah, it's Friday. How's your day been though?
It's been chilled, like
Uh-huh.
productive as I can make it. But like I'm learning not to get on myself for not being 100% every day and just like a little bit at a time
Yeah,
helps.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
It's human nature, Brad. You know, we're not gonna be 100% all the time.
yeah.
Sometimes you gotta fight for that extra 20%, that extra
Yeah.
40%. You know what I mean?
The little bits that you
Yeah.
do every day count for something. But thank you for this interview though. It should be interesting. You're the
Sweet.
third one that I'm doing.
Really?
Yeah. And if you're into
Nice.
numerology and like angel numbers, three is like a number of creation and creative. So I mean,
Come on now. Come on. Okay. Okay. Chakra hun. All right. Three no creation. All right.
we gotta
Come
be
on
in
now.
these vibrations.
Uh-huh. I feel that. I feel that.
Yeah.
But how have they been going so far? Who was number one and two?
One was I went to uni with her at UCT, and
Mm-hmm.
um yeah, she's like into like activism and queer rights, Black women queer rights. And then second one, I worked with him in Cape Town. He's a networker and like has so much insight, a lot of business
Nice.
knowledge, a lot of growth knowledge, a lot of expansion knowledge. And then here you are.
Nice. Okay, so I see it's very diverse. You're not like you're getting people from like different fields who do different things and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's all about insight and like what you can impart to people because I think I don't know. I just don't put myself in a box. I am who I am, and I'm interested in what I'm interested in, and people can take
For
things
sure.
away from everyone. But like, yeah, just saying
Yeah.
you and what your vibe is.
Alrighty. Well, my name is Tanaka Mutizo. That's my government name. But the streets call me Trizzle. What do I do? I'm an artist. Part-time 9 to 5er, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much me. And in terms of vibe, man, what can I say? What can I say about my vibe? I mean, super energetic.
Yeah.
Uh, try and keep it as real as possible at all times. You know, just try and bring like joy wherever I am, encouragement, and yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Yeah, let's talk about music actually, because I've been seeing your Instagram, I've been seeing the beats, the lo-fi, and it's funny because
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I've been super into like animation, especially anime edits this year. Like my phone is full of them. And when I saw them on my
Oh,
feed, I
you
was
say?
like, interesting, you're tapping into the same energy, bro.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, before I get into that, what's your favorite anime so far?
Here's the thing. I feel like it's kind of like asking me what my favorite artist is, or like what my
Ah, dang.
it's like picking kids, you know what I mean? It's seasonal, it's on the vibe. I mean, do you know what it is? The minute I start
Mm-hmm.
name dropping, I'm going to listen to this back and I'm like, you left that out. How could you leave that out? People now don't think you like that anime. And I don't want to say anything.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to because
Right.
but I will say I'm super into
Fair enough.
animations and like creating animations is definitely something I'm doing in the future, like 110%.
Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Like I think for me, I definitely want to be involved in some sort of creation of anime, whether it's like the music and stuff, because for me that's one of my favorite parts of anime, it's the music. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, for me, if I can give you my top three right now, I would say My Hero Academy, Hunter
Ooh,
x Hunter, and Naruto. Let's just put Naruto there to be safe.
like you
You know
have
what
to
I mean? But
put
that's
it
like
in
top
the
three for me.
culture. Because you know what? You can get cancelled for this, bro.
Yeah, you can. People have been cancelled for way less out here. But
Let's actually
yeah,
talk about
so
this, being an artist in such a sensitive society, because also you make music and you rap too, right? So when it comes to
yeah,
that, people sometimes misconstrue rap, especially like in the current age with like things going hype or viral or repetition. But then
yeah.
technically poetry, and it's like unleashing your soul, and it's saying how you feel basically. And
For
now it's
sure.
like,
For
how do you say what you feel when you can be under scrutiny, or does it affect you?
Right. Man, I mean, like you said, you're right. Rap is poetry. In fact, rap stands for rhythm and poetry, and there is a lot of pressure sometimes. I think for me, as a rapper, I always want to say something that's catchy, something that someone can put in a caption, someone, that resonates with someone, But ultimately, I feel like music is more powerful, especially as an artist, when you are speaking from your own heart,
That's
when you're speaking about what resonates with you, you
yeah,
know. Um, there's that saying where, there's nothing new under the sun, you know. And I mean, when you look at people like, let's say Drake, when he started rapping about the heartbreaks and all that stuff, people would resonate with Drake 'cause it's like, yo, I've been
that's
through this.
yeah.
Marvin's Room, I have felt these emotions,
Oh man, like
So,
Marvin's Room got to the guys, dog. And like owners were
oh
out
yeah,
there feeling it, like, yo, but this is high key how I feel.
this is how I feel, man. You know
Like,
what I mean?
that's
So,
true. You have to be authentic. When I think
yeah.
about my favorite people, like people that I've resonated with, that I've like rocked with from day one, I am the type of
Uh-huh.
person who, like, even when I was a little kid, lyricism is something
Hmm.
I resonate with, like people who tell stories. So I am one of those hardcore Eminem fans because there was a time
Really?
when dude, like Marshall, like yo, I don't even know what to say, like yo, like it's
Uh-huh.
great, like it's crazy, and like NF,
Uh-huh.
I absolutely love NF real music. Like if I met him, the first thing I'd say is thank you, like thank you, dude. Like you don't know what
Yeah.
you've done for me. And the thing is just the lyricism
Nice.
and the message. So when people are able to open themselves up like that, I've always gravitated towards the deep and meaningful music. And I think Brene Brown said it best that like true courage is vulnerability because it's easier
Mm.
to rap about something that doesn't leave you exposed. If anything, in the beginning,
Precisely.
like people were simping Drake for being so vulnerable, he had the ultimate courage because he put his heart on his sleeve. The reason why so
Mm.
many people have this false bravado is because they're scared of being left exposed. You know what I mean? So I have
For
mad
sure.
respect for people who can put their feelings out on the line. Even as a writer, sometimes it was hard for me, especially when I started like in the studio. My voice would not come out on the mic because it was
Yeah.
for me. I'm like, yo, you guys
Uh,
are out there spitting bars, but for me, the minute I start singing this verse, you're gonna know what I'm thinking, and that was
right.
for me to let go of because I'm like, yo, like this is so freaking vulnerable for me that like
Mm.
I have to be super comfortable. To this day, if I'm not comfortable with you, I won't be able to fully be comfortable on a mic like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of my biggest influences in my adolescence when it came to rap was, I don't know if you know, but a group called like Cross Movement, right?
Mm.
The Cray. These guys were like gospel hip hop back in the day. Like they were on some, yo, Jesus is my savior, And for me, that really like influenced me a lot, in the sense that that's what I was listening to at my young age. I'm still, just going through high school and all that stuff. And as I grew older, of course, I sort of lost that whole, Jesus freak element of me, as I went to university, experienced life, you know what I mean? And for me, it was tough in like sort of like with my music. When you listen to my music, there'll still always be that sort of reference to like, God or spiritual stuff, Of course, not as much because, I am I'm a normal guy, I guess. But it's sort of like I get that pressure sometimes when I'm writing, like, should I get this spiritual? Should I get this deep with it? Should I get, But ultimately, yeah. I mean, like you said, it's really all about you at the end of the day. You're making music for you, not other people.
And I
You
think
know,
like
so
balancing your core beliefs and spirituality with what you're doing is something that
absolutely.
like a lot of us kind of are out there having this internal tennis match with that too. Because I feel like for me especially, the whole
Mm.
coming of age thing was interesting because I had that whole same upbringing thing, and then you go out and then you expand and you grow as a person. And like the truth is, I was just out
So
there. I want to live my life, dog. Like I'm not trying to be out here bound by these rules and constraints. Like I'm trying to be out here in these streets.
yeah,
Eventually, I'm like, you know what? Being a Christian doesn't mean I'm perfect. If anything, it means that
for
I'm
sure.
standing true in my imperfection and I
Absolutely.
love regardless. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
Mm.
okay, I need to emit that love vibration. So sometimes I'm like looking at lyrics and there's certain verses and features that I literally haven't been able to do because I'm like, literally my intuition, like my spirit is just rejecting this. I can't lay a verse on this. The verse that I laid,
Yeah,
absolutely hate it. Like it doesn't stand for what I'm standing for. And if I'm sitting there,
yeah,
okay, my kids in the future are gonna listen to this. Does it actually
yeah.
represent me as a person? Or am I being
Mm.
a hypocrisy to my own truth? You know what I mean?
Right. Uh-huh.
It's a
Uh-huh. And I felt that a lot when I was making undergrad, you know,
my introduction to
because, oh yeah, nice, nice. So I mean, when I was making undergrad, I had a bunch of like turn up songs, and even in the writing process, there were times when, I'd be like, yeah, I keep it a buck. Okay, what rhymes with buck? Okay, nah. And it got to the point where it's even like, some guys who featured on my album, on the project, sorry, who featured on it, when they send me their verses, I'll be like, can you take out the swear words, bro? Can you kind of censor it? And I mean, of course, some of them is like as artists as well. They were like, "Hey, yo, Tanaka, if you're asking me to mute this, you're asking me to silence myself as an artist."
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So as much as I had my own views, as much as I had my own sort of, how I view things, how I wanted to uphold my music, there were other artists who were trying to do the same thing. So from there, I pretty much learned, okay, you know what? Let me just be a bit more open minded because ultimately my goal is to one day, produce and collaborate with the Drakes, the J. Coles, the big guys in the world. And they're obviously going to be talking about some big booty hoochies out here, you know what I mean? But, and I don't want to limit that. I don't want to limit anyone, so I definitely understand what you mean about like how sometimes some music can play with your views a bit or, your beliefs and stuff like that.
I think it's an
Yeah.
underlying message thing too, because if I think about like a feature, if I let's say the project has already started, and this is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Your verse is your perspective, in my opinion. So you're coming in with like your point of view. So like your verse is your verse, and that is your truth. My contribution to the art is my contribution and is my truth. And people, it's funny because I think most of my music is gonna have an underlying trace of hope, but it's kind of like really dark and depressing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just how I artistically express myself. Most of my shit is gonna be dark. That's just the truth. That's where I am right now, and I
Right.
like creating that type of stuff. Same thing with In It. I didn't even know he was
Yeah.
a Christian rapper until someone told me, yo, like he's categorized as a Christian rapper. He's never sworn in any of his songs. And like when you watch his music
Yeah.
videos, super dark and like
Dark.
like
Instagram. Dark.
you wouldn't even expect. But the thing is like he's like out there like, yo, this is what I went through and this is my truth. And I get that
For
because
sure.
when you listen to his music, you have to be in that space to not only hold on to it. It's like someone said to me once, maybe you're depressed because of the music that you listen to. I'm like, you don't get it. That music is like a life jacket to the drowning person. It's not throwing me off the boat.
Yikes.
It's stopping me from sinking. You know what I mean? It's just
Keeping me afloat. Yeah.
yeah. But like, when did
For
you
sure.
start though? When does your music journey start? Like, when you were like, okay, I'm going to start making it because there's a separation between knowing what you want to do and actively like out there like I'm gonna start making this music, these tracks.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. For me, it started when I was 9 years old in grade 4.
That's
Pretty
crazy.
much, I just got into like a boarding school, and yeah, I was just taking a sort of walk. It was like the first week or so, and I walked through like the school hall, and I could just hear ding ding, you know, the like C major scale, ding 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 ding, people just playing like piano and stuff. So I'm like, oh, okay, where's this coming from? And I got curious, and yeah, I went there, and some music teacher was there. And she's like, oh, hi, oh, you know, this is the music, you know, the music part of the school. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'd like to play music. I'd like to learn an instrument. And then she goes, okay, what instrument would you like to learn? So, you know, for me, that was like, that question, like, I wasn't even ready for that. I was like, oh, okay, y'all have variety up in here? All right. And I just said violin. I was like, yeah, violin, please, you know? She was like, oh, violin, okay, good choice, good choice. So, I mean, I started with the violin. That's pretty much when I started, and played violin throughout like primary school, a bit into high school.
Like, who
And
would
then
about you? That's so interesting.
yeah, nah. I mean, it's not something I share often, but yeah. And then in high school, you know, I kind of thought, okay, yeah, look, I'm in high school, I'm grown, I can't be out here with the violin on my chin. You know, I was trying to act hard, you know, so I sort of dropped the violin. Met some guys who were into like hip hop, you know, and we sort of just started a rap group, you know. So it was just us at break time rapping over acapellas, you know, like beatboxing, sorry. And yeah, this was probably around when I was like 14 now. And one day I went to my cousin's house, and he was like making beats on Fruity Loops. So I was like, hey, yo, what are you doing? He's like, I'm making beats. I was like, oh, for real? Can you teach me? You know, showed me the basics, kick, clap, all of that. So that's when I started making beats. So when my mom got you know, it just seemed to all happen like right one after the other. I learned, you know, my cousin showed me FL. My mom got a new computer. So she gave me an old one. She was like, okay, yeah, take the old one. So I was like, okay, fantastic. Put FL on there, started making beats, you know, and yeah, from there I really became more of a producer. Like I wasn't rapping much. I was just making beats, you know, like, you know, I started bunking sports to go home and make beats, you know, school events, stay at home, make beats, weekends, wake up Saturday morning, make beats. Like, oh, that's all I was doing, you know. And yeah, that pretty much happened up until university. That was 2013. And then I sort of stopped with the beats for a while because, yeah, uni life, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I was really soaking it all in, you know? And then it just got to a point where it's like, okay, look, I actually like making beats. Like, you know, FL has every machine that I've had, every laptop, every computer that I've had has always had some sort of software. FL, GarageBand, it's always had something. And I've visited it here and there, you know. So I knew from that like, okay, music is what I'm good at. This is what I enjoy doing, you know. And then, yeah, 2016, end of the year, that's when I started thinking, okay, let me try and pick up the pad and pen. Let me try write again, you know. So 2016 saw my whole on SoundCloud. I was just dropping a whole lot of tracks every week. I was trying to drop tracks every week on SoundCloud. And yeah, when I got out of university, it was like, okay, let me make a mixtape, let me make a project. And that's how undergrad came to be, you know? So yeah, music has always been, I mean, since I was young, it's pretty much always been in me, you know? And there are times when I might leave it, times I might, you know, forget about it, so to speak, but I always end up coming back to it.
That's so dope. Like, I relate to that high key. And here's the thing, I know a lot of people listening to this or watching this or whatever they're doing with this interview. Like, here's the thing. I think, especially if you want
to trip on my crib.
if you want to if you want to start music, sometimes you'll like there's so many roadblocks that I know a lot of artists go through, and it can get frustrating because where you thought it was like, okay, I'm gonna do this 6 months, a year, and I'm gonna blow up, or now you're on year 2 and you're on year 3, and then like you're looking at your plays and you're like, no one's playing my shit, no one's sharing my shit, like what am I doing wrong? And it's like that's totally normal. And I think people need to understand that it's absolutely normal to be in that situation because it can get disheartening, especially if you have a community of people around you who not only support you but understand that lifestyle. Because if you're not in this creation zone, it's hard to understand it from an external view. You know what I mean? How did you stay afloat in those times?
How did I stay afloat? I think first of all, people need to ask themselves, what are they doing it for? You
Mm.
know, do you do it because you love it, or do you do it because you want to blow up and you want to live the rapper life and stuff like that? Yeah, I mean, it's not to say that you can't make it if you want one thing or the other, but you know, ultimately, if you love music, if you have the passion for it, you know that it needs patience.
Oh,
You know, and out of all the virtues in the world, patience will be tested the most if you're an artist. You know,
100%.
um, so yeah, like I think for me, when I dropped, you know, when I was releasing songs on SoundCloud, that's when I started getting like a few gigs here and there. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm on my way. You know, people telling me, hey, yo, don't forget me when you're famous, don't forget me. And I'm like, oh, all right, I'm on my way, you know? And then I released Undergrad, and I thought, okay, this is it. This is the big time. You know what I mean? I got a project. It's about to blow up. Like, this is
Yeah.
my time,
Mhm.
you know? Undergrad came out. Yeah, there was love, there was buzz, and that kind of thing, you know. But then ultimately, as all good things, it fizzled out, right? Or at least I felt that way. So I, you know, keep dropping tracks here and there, on Apple Music and stuff like that. And yeah, dude, when I really got into like working, like the 9 to 5, that's when it was sort of like, okay, cool. I need to pay the bills. Music isn't really doing that right now, you know. So let me just work this 9 to 5. And ultimately, you know, one thing that did keep me afloat, or that has been keeping me afloat, is that you can't rush the process. You know, like even as life goes on, you are still developing, you're still learning, you know, you're still going through experiences. And, you know, ultimately as artists, we put our experiences into our music, you know,
Yeah.
what we feel on a day to day, we put
Yeah.
into our music, you know. So, yeah, dude, like, I mean, there was a time when I was really like disheartened and sort of just like, you know what, I'm not going anywhere with this music thing. But you got to ask yourself, what do you do it for? Do you do
It's
it because you love it? Or,
true.
yeah.
Even the 9 to 5 vibe, like sometimes people automatically think that it's like one or the other and there's no bridge between. Like I was having this conversation yesterday in the interview where Reagan was saying that just because you love something, it doesn't have to be right now. Just make time out of every day to do it. Like if you
Yeah.
have that little bit of time, if it's 30 minutes every day, if it's time dedicated during the weekend, why are you doing it? I think that is just the main deciding factor. I think for me personally, I've always been around music. I chose to play piano. I chose to do singing lessons and like
Yeah.
opera and like choirs and duets and madrigals and everything.
Nice.
But when I went to uni, I kind of left that life behind. I left my guitar back here. I left my piano back here. I left everything back here. And I didn't realize that
Yeah.
I needed that creative balance. So in that implosion
Mm.
of like life is spiraling. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's like music was just always at the core of it. It's like it's not necessarily like okay, I need to blow up thing. It's like I need music for myself, for my own sanity
Yeah.
and for my own internal peace. And you start
For
realizing
sure.
that too. Like in the beginning of Airplanes Part Two, Eminem's verse starts with "What if Marshall Mathers never picked up a pen?" And when I heard that,
Mm.
I was like, ain't that the truth? Because at the end of the
Mm.
day, you can go with a million what ifs. It's either you're gonna stay where you are because of your circumstances, or you're gonna blow up in
Yeah.
spite of them. You know what I mean? And the decision
Mm.
draws back to you. Because a lot of the time, like we like to blame other people, we like to blame our situation, or we like to blame our circumstances, and like victim
Yeah.
mentality will leave you in such a stuck place. But then eventually
Mm.
you have to sit there and be like, okay, maybe I'm not here because of me, but I need to get the hell out of here, like, and fight for it because I want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
Absolutely. And I think for me, when you talk about blame, oh my gosh. I mean, initially when I was finishing up high school, you know, my mom brought me some prospectuses. That's what they call it, right? And these were like from music musical schools, you know, like audio engineering schools, SAE. I saw Full Sail. I saw, you know, just a bunch of like dope audio engineering institutions. And I was thinking, yes, this is where I'm headed, you know. And I mean, yo, my mom was super supportive. She was like, yeah, nah, let's get it. Let's get it done. But ultimately, when the rest of the clan heard it, they were like, hey, hold up. So this guy wants to be a DJ. You know what I mean? And I guess I didn't fight it, which is something I sort of wish I did. Like, I wish I was really like persistent, like, yo, this is what I want to do. So, I mean, ultimately they were like, yeah, no, get a proper degree, then do music in your free time. And when you're done, you can do the music, that sort of thing. So when I was now seeing like my peers and, people who had done what they wanted to do, whether it was in graphic design or whether it was in music, whether it was in something artistic, I'll sort of just have that sort of thing of, this could have been me. This really could have been me. So in at that point in time, there was sort of that bit of like blame in my mind, like, oh man, my family, man, didn't support me. They thought I just wanted to be a DJ, but even DJs are making money out here. We live in different times, but I just had to come to peace with it in the sense of, look, man, life, how do I say it? Sometimes you don't know where you're going, but like you said, it's sometimes a decision that you make. Okay, I want to get out of here. I want to do this, because ultimately life is about your decisions. It's about what you want to do,
Yeah, I went
So, yeah.
like I was just angry at the world, and I'm like, this is not my fault. This is not what I wanted. I wanted what I wanted, and had I just done what I wanted, not what people wanted for me, gosh, damn it, my life would look different. Then at the end of the day,
you know?
it is what it is, and you are where you are. So you have to like deal with the cards as they've dealt. And like as you said, it's a peace thing. You have to be at peace with the situation, because if you're not, you're gonna end up fighting yourself. And even when you're in like a heavy place, it reflects in your music. I know a lot of the time, like we can channel like, let's say, our sadness or depression into music. But if you're just in
Yeah,
a negative, like bitter space, that's not a good translation to have. Like you see so many artists like,
it's not.
oh, like the previous album, like I was depressed, I was bitter, whatever, and like it just didn't come out the way that I wanted it to. But it's just because you're
Yeah,
just not at peace with yourself. And I think the fact that you're sitting there and you're like, dude, like this is what it is. Like I'm happy, I'm doing what I'm doing. That's how you attract this stuff to
definitely.
you. Like it's a momentum thing. Like you were saying, you couldn't explain what was
Like
happening.
that.
You had IFL, your mom had got the laptop and stuff. It's because things attract themselves to you when you keep up
Mm,
the momentum. Like you're not gonna attract anything if you're not doing anything. Like I realized
exactly.
it's a little bit at a time, because in 2019 I think I was like, if this like everything else is not working, so I just decided to start writing random demos when I felt like it. I thought I wasn't
Yeah.
doing enough. And then one
Hmm.
day I opened the playlist on my iTunes and I'm like, dude, I have 70 demos in here. I can make a tape out of this. But in the
Yeah.
process,
Wow.
I felt like I'm not doing enough. Like I just sat down and I wrote a little something like a hook, and what am I actually doing? But then at the end of it, you're like, I actually have a whole bunch of stuff. Like the song that I released this week, I wrote it in 2018 type thing. It's just,
Wow, wait. Uh-huh.
it's like, shout out. It's just, it's one of those things Steve Jobs said it best, you can never connect the dots looking forward, but you can always connect the dots looking back. And he
That's
said you have
powerful.
to trust the universe, God, whatever you believe in, to align the right dots for you as you're moving forward. He was talking about the calligraphy, like, fonts in your computer.
Hmm.
We
Yeah,
have
yeah.
because when Steve Jobs dropped out, he became a drop-in and he took this random calligraphy class. The university that he was dropping in classes of had the best calligraphy class in the world. And he learned about fonts and typefaces and stuff. And he incorporated that into the computer. And we would never have had fonts if he never took that calligraphy class, because Apple started
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And he was like,
Absolutely.
I couldn't connect the dots looking forward, but I can looking back, that like, yo, that one time when I did that one thing, even now when you're looking at your 9 to 5, you're gonna take something away from that and you're gonna be like in the future, yo, if I had never had that job, I can't
Yeah.
expect what I'm doing now without those
Mm.
tools and those lessons. Like everything is working for your highest good, and I realize that, especially in
Oh,
retrospect.
yeah. Definitely, definitely, definitely. And I think it's just a matter of never feeling down, like you said, like keeping a positive energy, you know. And you know, I got to a point where it's like, okay, cool, the rap is, you know, I enjoy rapping, you know, but I got to like a writer's block, like a hectic writer's block, you know, and I feel like sometimes it's seasonal. I don't know, because it comes and it goes, but when it comes through, uh-huh,
it does. It is seasonal though.
like when it comes
You
heavily.
acquire experiences and you're like downloading information in this period
Mm-hmm.
you can't write, and then all of a sudden it comes through. Like I'm learning to start listening
Yeah.
to myself. Like because sometimes I'm like, I need to write, and then it's not coming through. But then I might
Mm.
be in the mood to do something else. Like I'll start looking at aesthetics and visuals for like future videos, or I'll start
Yeah.
listening to beats and like, oh, these instrumentals are dope. But it's like the seasonal part. That's how your pieces are put together. You
Yeah.
can't force things because it just
You know what I mean? And that was it for me. That's what lo-fi was for me, you know? Because
it's
now it was fresh in the lockdown. Like I just felt like, you know, I released what single like three singles this year, 3 or 4 singles this year. And then lockdown came through. So I was like, oh gosh, okay, lockdown. You
I
know, I
hope
just sort of lost that motivation. Hey?
I hope there's a beat tape coming because we need that.
Oh no, definitely. Oh, definitely. And then I stumbled upon lo-fi, you know, as I was just going through beats on YouTube. Like it was something I'd always play, you know, like when I was studying at university, I'd go to that YouTube video of the girl who's studying and I'd listen to
Yeah,
like lo-fi beats, you know.
yeah,
But then it was just different. Like in this lockdown, it was just so different because it hit me in such a different way. And I came across like artists, like proper artists, like, oh, this guy's on Spotify and he's making lo-fi beats, you know, so y'all actually do this? Okay. You
yeah.
know, and that was what really sparked my whole lo-fi wave. Like, I mean, you can ask anyone. Lo-fi is pretty much all I listen to in this house. I just listen to lo-fi. That's it. And then I thought, okay, I'm listening to this. I like it. I make beats. Let me make a lo-fi beat tape. Let me make some lo-fi beats, you know? So yeah, beat tape coming soon.
That's
Best
super
believe.
dope. Anyone who's watching this should just go to his Instagram and listen to these beats because they're so chill. And I love the vibe. And I think it really coincides with lockdown too. Like it's just that vibe.
Yeah.
Any
Mm-hmm.
last comments or advice for people, especially let's say we're in lockdown, right? And I think
Mm.
especially as creatives, for the first time I think ever, we kind of have the upper hand in the situation because we are kind of more introspective, but also used to creating independent of having to do like 9 to 5s or relying on certain things. Yes, we may have stress, but we have an outlet, right?
Yeah,
How have you been coping
definitely.
with isolation and lockdown, and what have you been channeling your energy into?
Sorry, I think someone's just knocking at my door. Sorry, this is probably one of the most unorthodox interviews you've done been in.
Honestly, do your thing, bro. Like my podcast is literally called Round Plug Square Hole. There are no constructs of this item.
Nice. Okay, cool. So your question was, what would be my advice to someone who is in lockdown?
Okay, let's structure this in 2 parts. What have you been doing
Okay.
to deal with, first of all, isolation, lockdown, and then what is your advice to people who are trying to create something, feel like they don't know how to channel their emotions into creation, and are just trying to find an outlet during lockdown? So, what you did and your advice to people who are having that block, a creative block or just a personal block.
Um, my advice to someone who's having a creative block, a block of any sort, don't be too hard on yourself. You know, I think that's one thing because it's so easy. Like when you're in a block or when you feel like you're stuck, you can just look at yourself and pretty much be like, oh, what's wrong with me? What you know? It's don't be too hard on yourself. That's pretty much all I'd say. Take a deep breath. Watch some movies, something that you haven't watched before. Listen to a genre that you don't usually listen to. Because look, creativity is all around us. And ultimately everything that we see around us, the world is creation. You know, it's all creation, trees, stars, clouds, all of that. and we were made in the creator's image, so we are creative, so there's always a lot of avenues to explore with creativity, so don't be so hard on yourself.
Mm. Basically, like
Yeah.
to be present, the power of now.
Sorry, I think I missed you there. What was the question?
No, it's fine. We disconnected at the same time. I was saying, yeah, it's basically you're saying to be present, the power of
Yeah, to be present. Yeah, and I think that's also something that I learned as well in terms of work, right? Because now, of course, there was the 9 to 5, and initially my initial plan was to get employed, leave, go do the music, and then it's sort of like, okay, as I was now working on the music, it was taking a bit longer than usual to blow. So it's like, all right, cool. You know what? Let me just do it for the love and let me just live my life.
That's
And I think that's what it is. It's just live your life, dude. Don't put yourself under pressure, because when you do that, like even in this lockdown, I had a serious stage of like anxiety, because it's like, oh my gosh, is the 9 to 5 going to be my whole life? I just did an album about 9 to 5. Like, oh my gosh, this is going to be my life. But ultimately, look, like, and it's like you said, you connect the dots looking backwards, right? And it got to a point where at my job, I got promoted. And it's like, oh, okay, I'm really deep in this 9 to 5 thing now. What's going on? But ultimately, there are things that I've learned in that position that I'm in now, where it's something that I can take with me. Let's say, for example, I'm on tour. I know how to emotional intelligence, how to deal with people, that sort of thing. So yeah, like take life as it comes, yo. Take life as it comes.
That's so deep because I know like the whole trying to blow up and still having a job, and you thought like this thing was gonna be like a 2 week or a 2 month thing, and suddenly you're sitting through this 2 year thing, and overthinking can be such a huge thing because you'll literally think yourself into an anxiety attack because of your perception of what should happen. And I think being will literally change your life. Like you said, the minute that you just kind of let go and you were present what you're doing, next you know you're promoted in your job, and like now you're doing lo-fi beats. Had you not been present or even like kind of let go of like the idea of the direction, you would have never come to this conclusion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like movies and series and stuff. For all you know, you could be scoring film instead.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Definitely. And one thing that has helped me actually, it's this book right here. I don't know if anyone's heard of it. It's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. And pretty much what I get from this book is that, a lot of people lose their creative way, or they feel like they lose their creative way. But ultimately, us being made in God's image, we are creative nonetheless, So you'll see that, you know what I'm saying? So there are people who be like working jobs, engineers and stuff like that. And then they'll find out that, no, I'm actually a painter. No, I'm a filmmaker. No, I'm that sort of thing. So I think huge recommendation. I would recommend anyone who's feeling like they're under some sort of block or can't get through creatively, read The Artist's Way.
Shout out to that. I love acquiring knowledge in any shape or form. And I think that is true though, because sometimes when I feel like I need to be pumped up, I know certain things I can watch, I can listen to, I can do to kind of get like my verve for life again. And I think
what pumps you up though?
What pumps me up? It honestly depends. I can look back at my life in certain parts when I felt like I was just giving up. I think the one time I watched The Pursuit of Happiness, afterwards I like cried and I was like, you know what? Shit can hit the fan, but I'm gonna like keep on going. The one time I watched 8 Mile and I was like, no, we're on this. We're on this.
Yeah.
Different things actually. It depends on what space I'm in, even like playlists. I have this pumped up playlist with like my hype songs that will get me going. Things like obviously Lose Yourself is in there. Live from the Gutter. I don't know what it is about that song, but like
Drake.
It puts
me. I know. I won't lie. That slaps.
Like Live from the Gutter and
Reported live from the gutter.
9 from views is also another thing
Uh-huh.
that like gets me going when I'm like, yeah, I made a decision last night that I would die for it. I was like, yes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Little
Uh-huh.
things like that
And
keep
you
me
get like you can get like inspiration from things like that, you know?
sure.
Funny enough,
Mm,
what inspired undergrad for me, it wasn't the fact that I just graduated, you know. It was Isaiah Rashad album, The Sun's Tirade, you
mm.
know. I listened to that and I listened to you know, Dressed Like Rappers, just the whole album back to back. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna do a project. I'm gonna do a project right now, you know. And I listened to the beats on
Inspiring.
that album.
I swear,
Yeah.
sometimes you hear music and you're like, I actually need to make music. That happens to me a lot. Like I'll hear something and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Wait, where's my pen?
Yeah.
Because
You know,
I need to make something. That's crazy. It's
I need
absurd.
to get to the studio like right now, you know?
Literally, like I will be putting my shoes on as the song is ending. Like, yo, like we need to get to it.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, dude, like and from there it's just like that's where inspiration came through, you know, for 9 to 5, yo, I was going through a hectic work situation, dude. Like long story short, I'd been suspended from work, bro. Yeah,
Yeah,
crazy stuff.
I've been there. Like
Sorry,
I
someone's just trying to.
listen, guys. Trizzle is a wanted man in these streets. He's a busybody.
Sorry about that.
Friday night life. This is what happens when you're booked and busy. This is what happens when you're booked and busy.
Yeah.
This is what happens when
Oh,
you're
you
booked
know. Exactly. But was I saying something? Were you saying something?
I don't know. You're talking about Isaiah Rashad, I think. But like, I get it. We're talking about basically
Oh
creation.
yeah, 9 to 5. Yeah.
That's the
So
best way
nine
to
to
say
five.
it.
I mean,
I mean, I get
yeah.
it. Normally, when I
Mm.
start working at something, I'm like, I'll be the best employee ever until I get bored. And then I'm just like the worst person that you could probably have on your team because I've reached
Yeah.
my point of exhaustion. I just,
Up to
the
here.
why. I'm the type of person who operates on my why. And I think when we spoke about overthinking, that kind of got in my head a lot, especially during lockdown, actually. Like, there were times I couldn't even open Instagram because my timeline was triggering me. I just couldn't do it. I
Yeah.
was getting so much anxiety, and then you're overthinking everything. And comparison syndrome is just something that you should just never fall into. You have to kind of, I've
Figure.
learned to take a
Mm.
step back into myself when I start
Mm.
like wandering in those waters that I shouldn't be. And because
Yeah.
I'm a very like extremist person. It's either I'm thinking about quality and like I think of discography a lot, like what legacy am I leaving behind? Because in my mind I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
if you play from the very first song I've ever released, the most current one,
Mm-hmm.
at whatever time you're listening to me, there should be some form of progression, something of quality. And then now on the other end of the spectrum, because I'm such an extremist thinking person, I'm like, okay, consistency, I need to drop, I need to drop, I need to drop. And this I need to drop
Yeah.
this and over here might just cut corners when it comes to quality and
Yeah.
legacy and
Yeah.
integrity.
Yeah.
So learning how to be in unity consciousness, because there has to be a balance between the two. Consistency,
Yeah.
but also quality. And I need to realize I shouldn't overthink myself into dropping too early or cutting corners because it's not that deep, dude. Like time
Yeah.
is an illusion. Like an extra 2 weeks or an extra month isn't gonna kill you. If anything, it's just gonna make your art better. But then sometimes
Yeah.
it's way too long because you think it's never good enough. So you have to
You got to balance it out, and that's the tough part about being an artist as well, because you know I have a perfectionist bone in me where it's like, okay, this is not good enough, I can't drop it, you know. And let's say I can play it for someone and they'll be like, hey yo, why didn't you drop this, bro? This is fire. And it's like, oh, for real, you know. So even like in terms of the pressure of I have to drop, or every day I have to write, or I have to make music, look, I saw a quote one time that really put it into perspective for me. And it said that, you know, the artist, every day, the artist doesn't paint a masterpiece, right? But every day the artist paints. Okay. So it's sometimes it's just that thing. Sometimes, you know, I'm not gonna make a whole beat or a whole song in one day, you know. Sometimes I'll just lay the kicks there. and I'll leave it. You know, next day I'll do the hi-hats and the snares, and I'll probably have some inspiration for a melody. All right, cool. You know, 2 days later, I'll be like, oh, you know, I'll probably go through some experience where it's like, oh no, but I can actually write about this, you know? And I think that's really it. Like, you know, it's one stroke of the brush at a time. That's really what it is.
Yeah, I've taken that approach to
You know?
like every day I just do something. Like, because
Something, yeah.
I'm such a sporadic person that I have my foot in so many things. Like, I'm a writer, I make music, I'm editing videos, I'm doing visuals. I'm doing so many things that, like, if I move from one to the other, I just know that I'm adding into my life in some way. Or even like, because I'm super into cinematography and scripts and visuals, for me, watching Netflix is grafting because as I'm watching it, I'm paying attention to things. Like when I watch movies, when I watch series, I'm paying attention to like the camera work. I'm paying attention to the frames. I'm paying attention to things that like you may just look past, but I'm like, okay, if this is what I want to get into, I should pay attention to how the greats did it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So
For sure.
this has been a dope interview, my G. I think people have taken stuff away from this, which is dope.
I hope so. I hope so. And I mean, that's really what we're here for, right? We're here to impart.
Yeah, and start the
You know what I mean?
conversation, that internal dialogue, because you may be running away from yourself and now it's full frontal confrontation.
You know, that's really it. That's really it. Don't run away from yourself. Face yourself. Face what's uncomfortable about you, but also love yourself in the process.
Mirror. In fact, Mirror by Norway is such an underrated song now that I think about it.
Oh, yeah?
That mirror on the wall.
Yeah. Here we are again.
Yeah.
To my rising. Okay, you're going to get me started.
Like, I'm actually going to listen to this after I pressed in because, like, those bars are deep. If you really want to introspect, listen to that song.
You know, 10-year-old me was here like, I see myself, but I really understand what he was trying to say now.
Weezy in his prime is an easy top 5, and you can't dispute it. Like, you can't. The man was like, you can't. In his prime, get out of here.
Yeah. It's top 5, not 4, not 3, not 2. Trust me. Nah, but thanks a lot for having me on this interview, yo. It was really dope. It was really dope to just chat with you as well, and and hear your experiences, hear where you've come from. That was really cool.
Yeah, so, you too.
Congratulations once again. Congrats on the new single. You know, and yeah, dude, like, why wait? Keep dropping, man. Keep dropping. Why wait?
You know, someone is there with you when they quote your line back at you. You know what I mean? So
for sure. I really enjoyed
it. The next interview we do, it has to be something to show for it, and you have to speak that into existence.
For sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely. Absolutely. It's so dope.
All right, cool. You must enjoy the evening, huh?
You too.
Roundplugsquarehole.